Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Analogy. Now, what is analogy? Analogy comes from the word analogous, which means resemblance, comparison, similarity. Now, you must have noticed that in all exams that test your vocabulary, that test your higher order English language abilities, they necessarily consist of a test of verbal analogy. And which means, yeah, it is all part of the vocabulary competence, but it is a little different now. It involves two sets of words, that is the way the format is, that it involves two sets of words or concepts that are analogous. So, therefore, the word analogy, analogous in the nature of their relationship. In this particular module or section, two words are given which are related in some way. A third word is also given along with 4 to 5 alternatives. So, green is to fertility as red is to, and then you will be given a list of choices, a simple example. Or you may, so this is the symbolism, green and fertility, and red could also could mean a number of things or can have associations, but it all depends on the choices. So, as we have been talking about all along, it is all about making the closest and the exact and the most appropriate choice. There could be peripherals also, choices that are all right, marginally all right or peripherally all right, but not exactly. So, these tests also test you, these exams also test you on your ability to spot the exact and the most appropriate word. As I was telling you, a third word is also given along with 4 to 5 alternatives. Hence, a particular relationship is indicated between the first two words, and the test taker is supposed to identify the alternative which bears a similar logical relationship with the third word. For example, again dawn to dusk, this is an opposite, right? As breakfast to what? So, breakfast to dinner, supper, lunch, tea time. So, it could be any number of choices, make the best choice. Analogy tests are meant to test one's factual knowledge, reasoning and of course, power of vocabulary, apart from which is true of all these exams, ability to relate accurately and think concisely to the point. These are often used in assessments like job tests or IQ measurement tests also. So, perhaps those of you who are interested in these kinds of exams, you can make use of it. Verbal analogy questions are a subset of a broader category of analogy questions where comparisons between objects, pictures, numbers are made. The succeeding or part of this lecture, it only deals with the subject of verbal analogy. So, that is what we are going to do today. Now, analogy involves two words concepts, a third word and a blank indicating a missing word. You will be given 4 or 5 alternatives from which the fourth word or any one word rather should be chosen to fill in the blank. You should be clear to identify the relationship between the first two words and compare all the alternatives to the third word. You should be able to figure out which alternative relates to the third word in at least similar way, at least one similar way as the first two words relate to each other. So, and always remember there is only one word. Look at the slide here now. Fear is to threat as anger is to, fear is closely related to threat, right? If there is threat, there is fear. So, anger, outburst, panic, provocation, force. What are you being asked? Look at the kinds of choices that you can easily eliminate. So, if fear is to threat, so threat results in fear, and anger, provocation results in anger. Now, panic cannot result in, panic is a synonym of fear. Provocation results in you were provoked, therefore you got angry. Remember, the first arises from the second, cause and effect. So, this is what you should remember, the cause and effect relationship. Fear arises from threat, anger arises from provocation. Anger can also lead to outburst, but outburst is not the cause of anger. Hence, anger does not arise from outburst. Remember that. So, this is the kind of analogy, although it is so closely related. And while we eliminate B and D, panic and force, may not cause anger either. Now, verbal analogy questions can be formulated in two ways. Dash is to dash as dash is to dash format, or dash is related to dash as dash is related to dash. Remember, so this is the way verbal analogy tests are conducted. If you have any book, one of those competitive types of books that are so easily available, if you have one of those books, you will understand what I mean here. Remember, for this course, we are just aiding you. It should be a complementary course to what you are already preparing. So, this is a short 12-week course. It cannot comprise everything that you need to know about verbal analogy, vocabulary development. It is a gradual, lifelong process, but for your immediate purposes, you have to be very consistent, and you cannot depend on one course completely. So, you need to consult more books, you need to consult the latest updated formats, and of course, online is a huge source of these kinds of information, and consists so many exercises and tests, practice tests. Please look at all these, and then you will find that this course is of great value to you. Now, to come back to what we are doing, let me give an example, like a car is to a garage as a ship is to what? Now, garage, what do you do? What is the relationship? Car is housed in garage. So, therefore, ship is housed in, the answer should be dock, a docks. So, here you are talking about a relationship. Now, you also have another kind of format, for example, earth is to planet. What is earth? Earth is just a very small part of planet. Or rather, earth is a planet. So, yeah, so earth is a planet. So, this is a relationship. Earth is a small part of the universe system. But if earth is a planet, then what is sun? So, you have to now look at the possible options. Is it a moon? Is it a planet? Is it a star? Is it universe? So, because earth is a planet, so therefore, you have to talk about what is sun? Sun is a star. So, the correct answer is what earth is to planet is what sun is to star. So, that is a ratio proportion kind of a format. The key to solve these types of questions is to identify the relationship between the first two words, which would be reflected between the third and the fourth words as well. Remember, they are so closely associated, there is every possibility of getting confused. At times, you are also given something very confusing, none of these or all of the above type of choices. They are also provided and sometimes they could be the right answer. Now, they may reflect the deficiency of an analogy or existence of multiple compelling logical analogies respectively, but you have to look at that and consider that as well. So, remember to go through the explanations for the all these answers. This is something that you have to do mentally. Now, we will talk about various types of relationship between different sets of words. We will talk about cause and effect. Let us look at this particular slide. Iodine is related to goiter as anemia is related to blood, vitamin, iron weakness. Lack of iodine leads to a disease called goiter, right? So, then lack of what thing will lead to anemia? The correct response is option C, which is iron. As we were talking, deficiency of iodine results in goiter and deficiency of iron results in anemia. Options A and B, and for example, A, blood, vitamin, weaknesses, they are not really, it is not the deficiency of these things. So, therefore, correct answer is iron, lack of iron causing anemia. Look at this one, classroom is to university, what shoe is to? Correct answer is option C, which is sole. Remember, classroom is a part of a university and so is a sole. Sole is part of a shoe. Leather is what, that is option A, is what the shoe is made of. It is the essential fabric of the shoe, that is not what is being asked. A classroom can only be said to be a part of a university or at least one of the essential elements that make up the fabric of the university. The relationship between option A and the third word does not match the relationship between the first two words in the question. So, neither options B nor D, that is heel and polish, form part of a shoe. Look at the third exercise, synonym type. Dearth is related to scarcity as persuasion is related to coercion, coaxing, faith, reliance. The best choice is B, coaxing. Coercion is force, looks very similar. So, if it is scarce, dearth is scarce, persuasion is coaxing, not coercion. Option C and D, faith and reliance, they do not indicate persuasion either. So, in fact, one has faith in or rely on somebody something, but one is persuaded by someone. So, also look at the prepositions. These things matter. A good sound understanding of grammar matters. Sometimes when you apply words, prepositions to certain words, so by, to, of, and apply those prepositions to these choices, your answer you may get your right answer there itself. Let us look at this type now. Look at the slide please. Antonym type. Create is to destroy, opposite of chaos love, opposite of chaos is construction, opposite of chaos is anarchy, or is the opposite of chaos peace? What should be the correct answer? Best response is option D. Create and destroy are antonyms or opposites. Chaos and peace are also opposites. Note that the first set are verbs while the second nouns. Remember that. So, these things also matter. Also, the first word in the first set is create. It has a positive connection, a connotation, while the first word in the second set chaos has a negative connotation. So, these things are important. And in this question, these the other choices do not hold much importance, is the relationship. So, love, construction, anarchy, they do not, they are all antonyms of they are not the antonyms of chaos. Only peace is the right answer. Look at the next slide. Association in terms of intensity. Desire is related to wish, as burn is related to, now remember, burn is a verb, wish, okay, so intensity. So, burn is related to as intense as blaze, smolder, blister or corrode. Look at the choices again, blaze, smolder, blister, corrode. So, the best answer is B, that is a smolder. The explanation would be that a desire in lesser intensity is a wish, burning in lesser intensity is smoldering. B, blaze is not, that is A, is not applicable because it constitutes a higher intensity of burning. Tough one. Here the position of the words in the set is important. Blister again, blister is a cause of burn. Corrode does not connote a lesser intense form of burning. So, you have to look at that. Desire, we desire intensely, we wish for something, but therefore, that is the burn more intense than a smolder. So, look at the degree of intensity. Remember, in the examples of relationships of antonyms and of intensity, the position is very important. It is highlighted, but as always the aim must be to identify the best possible answer from the choices given, which is true of all such types of exams. Look at the best possible choice. If a better option is available which pays attention to the position of the words, even if the relationship between the words in each set is that of antonyms, it must be opted. Some of the other major relationships include instrument and measurement. A stethoscope is to a doctor as something else, maybe a chalk piece to a teacher. So, look at these kinds of instruments and measurements. Seismograph, earthquake, right? Thermometer, temperature. You can also have relationships between quantity and unit. So, current and ampere, weight and kilograms or maybe even pound. Workers and their places of work, right. So, doctor and hospital, engineer, what, okay. Perhaps a construction site or something, a factory or a corporate office. So, look at the best choice again. The other relationship could be between individuals and groups. So, sheep and flock and fish and what? Shoal of fish, school of fish. Look at the possible choices. Develop your vocabulary. Now, let us look at this particular slide. This is your exercise. All is to many as a few is to some, none, never, always. So, in this choice, all to many is a small decrement of the first term. Many is lesser than all and none is lesser than a few. So, some is a synonym of a few and hence is not a decrement of the letter. Remember, option C and D, never and always, are not applicable at all. Confusion has to be in some or none. You have to look at the decrement. So, if it is some, how does where is the decrement there? Between few, few becomes, and few and some, they are synonyms. Decrement will have none. Next slide please. Look at the slide here. Prose is to poetry as conversation is to song, poem, language, listening. Best choice would be song. Poetry and prose are rhyming and non-rhyming written texts. Song and conversations are rhyming and non-rhyming spoken texts. So, that is the text. So, that is the relationship. Let us look at the third practice test. About is to bout as amend is to mend, near to mend, tear to mend, and dismiss to mend. What is happening here? The best response is amend. The letter A is added to bout to make about. So, the answer is amend, because that is the word which is formed by adding an A to the word mend. The other categories, the other words do not matter here too much. Now, this category, please remember, may also include scrambled words and anagrams. So, you have to develop that vocabulary or that skill in vocabulary as well. Look at the next slide. Sloth is to action, what dash is to principles. What is happening here? Sloth means what? Sloth is laziness. Opposite of laziness should be action. So, principles, a man has some principles. So, teacher and principal, this is a confusing word. Principal, a school principal has a different different spelling. It ends in a PAL. This is PLEs. So, this is eliminated. Hero has principles. Conscientious is an adjective, and the choice is between an adjective and noun. Unscrupulousness, what does it mean? So, that is the best choice. D, unscrupulousness, it is an opposite. So, sloth is a lack of action, unscrupulousness, both noun and principles, unscrupulousness and principle, both are nouns, and unscrupulousness is a lack of principles. Look at the next exercise. Dash is to pride as dash is to storm. According to an adage, pride before a fall, and there is always a calm before the storm. So, that is the response. Pride comes before fall and calm before a storm. So, therefore, you need to have greater degree of understanding the English language here. Also understand the idioms and phrases and proverbs. So, thank you very much. We will continue with similar exercises in our subsequent classes.